There's that feeling of wanting to hold them because they're yours, just yours. But then there's this realization that they're not mine.
It's Sugar Snake Takes.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Suga Snake's Takes. We are here again today today we're going to talk about fatherhood with Jake and Rashad and Mike. All of us here, except for Mike right now, are fathers, and that's cool. Get different perspectives from those of us who have not stepped into it, but fatherhood's something that we all hold near and dear. I know that this is super important to Suga and Snake to kind of step into something that's quite honestly the foundation for a better future of our lives. I think it kind of starts with fathers. So considering fatherhood, what it means to you guys, and the importance of fatherhood. I don't know if there's a special story that you want to tell about being a dad or something that could resonate with our audience, advice to future fathers. I will quickly chime in and say something I say quite frequently to everybody who's going to be a parent, moms and dads. Start a Gmail account for your kids today, even if they're not in existence and you plan on having kids, or even maybe it's a niece or a nephew or whatnot, but a younger person, and maybe write about your life. I've started one for my daughter years and years ago, and in the subject line, I put the date and I tell her what I'm up to. It's, hey, I'm working on Umbo with Suga Rashad Evans and Jake the Snake Plummer, and we're trying to bring functional mushrooms to people, or the advocacy work I've done with decriminalization. And I write her that letter and chime in about what I'm up to as frequently as I can. And then when she turns 18 or graduates, I'll give her the Gmail account and the password to kind of reflect on that. So that's a bit of advice, but Sugar Snake, any stories or advice or things that are just important to the aspect of fatherhood? That's what we want to chat about today.
I'll start. For me, fatherhood is the most important and one of the biggest driving forces of me doing anything. It's funny because like I feel as if like I've had these children at so many different phases of my life, and each of these different phases, I was a different parent in each one of those phases. I had my first kid when I was 19 years old, and that was a different father than the father that I was when I had my next kid at at 25 years old. So each and every single time that I became a father, it was it was a different part of me. And what I've learned is the fact that I I don't I there's I can't be a perfect father, right? And along the way, I've been learning to be the best father that I can be. And the best father that I can be has always been one that's always learning, not afraid to learn, learning from the children, learning how to be the kind of father that they need. And truly understanding that being a parent is not so much about me having this child that's mine, but rather than raising this child so they can be something strong for society, something strong for themselves, and that was something for me that was a hard kind of reality that I had to face kind of when my first one started to come of age many times. There's that feeling of wanting to hold them because they're yours, just yours. But then there's this realization that they're not mine. They're their own being. They're their own individual, and I'm here to try to help them make sense of the world. I'm here to try to help them to become strong and independent people. And when my focus switched more toward that, it changed the kind of father that I was, because then it wasn't about me. It was about what was best for the kids, and doing what was best for the kids. Some of the time that it wasn't, you know, as gratifying for me having the experience because sometimes I couldn't be there, but I was there doing what was best for the kids. So I would say to new parents and parents who may give themselves a hard time on just being a parent alone is that it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do is raising somebody else to be that great person in society or just be a accountable person in society that can take care of himself. And you're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. But being able to come back from your mistakes, being able to uh, make things right in your mistakes, and being able to come to a position of doing the best that you can do, I feel like that outshines everything because I think the intent is the most important thing. But um, being a parent has been the best job that I've ever had, and at the same time, one of the most humbling because every single day I'm learning.
Yeah, no doubt. That's absolutely beautiful, and it reminds me of the Khalil Gibran poem of "Your children are not your children; they are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself." That's so
Mm,
beautiful, and just kind of knowing that these children aren't many use. They're their own people, and it's your role
yeah.
to shape them and help them become themselves. So I think you kind of touched on that, which is beautiful. So, Snake, what do you think, man? Tell us a little bit about fatherhood for you and what it means to you.
Yeah, I mean, well said, Rashad. As you say, going and being the best you can be, not trying to be perfect. We find ourselves, we all had fathers too, whether they were present in your life or not. How they represented themselves has an effect on you. So, as I've grown into being a father, I waited till I was done playing ball. I didn't have the capacity to play ball and have children. I just knew that they would have, it would have been hard for me to go go to practice with a new baby, a day or 2 day old baby. I see these, guys, I had teammates who would come back from their wife giving birth and training camp, and they'd drive down, have the birth, and be right back the next day. And it's showing me dedication and all this stuff. And I know that's part of a team, but it's also like, yo, this is like a life you just brought into the world. And I was really wanting to be present. So as present as I could be. And it's a sensitive subject for me because I went through some periods in my life there when we had when I was having kids. I had three. I waited till about 30. I guess I was 35 when we had our first, and pretty established in my ways and able to know what I liked, what I didn't like, and having a child wasn't as hard, to shift those things to be able to give my time to the kid. But there was some times I went through a lot of pain with post career pain and some depression and just times where I wasn't doing what's best for me, knowing that whatever I was doing for me, loving myself, taking care of myself, striving to be better was going to be directly reflect onto the kids until I finally realized that. And I finally realized that here just over the last probably 3-4 years. And it's like, I can't control these things that we've created. They're their own little humans, they're their own little beings. But what I can show them is how to represent yourself well in the world. What I can show them is how to treat people right, how to treat myself with love, how to go about diving into what we're doing to educate people on something that's not very common, that's very abnormal, that's very unlikely to be talked about in church or at the school or whatever. We're stepping into something that is not very common for fathers to step into stuff like this. So for me, it's really, I've focused back on to myself being the best that I can be, and I'm still working at that. I'm still trying to do the things that I want to do, balancing spending the time with my kids that I know is valuable quality time. And the one thing that I've learned is like the best you could do is to leave everything behind when you get time with your kids. When you have a chance to be with them, don't be on your phone. Don't be worried about the email you didn't send or the work you got to do tomorrow. Like drop in completely with them and really relish in that beautiful child that you have, even when they're older. I mean, I got a teenager now, and to 13, but he's still just this little kid, and I'm still just this little kid. So find times that you can drop into just being a little kid again with your kids. And that really is something I'm working on right now. I'm thinking a lot about them as I'm out of the country and not around them, trying to, like, when I get back to see them, how I'm going to drop in with them is going to be really important, to just find out how they've been, drop in and hold them. And, the one thing I know for sure, if you love them, they know that. If you tell them you love them, they know that, they feel that. So no matter what you do, no matter how bad you are represented as a parent, maybe you're not perfect. It's okay. Your kids will forgive you and they'll love you forever, so long as you love them back. And so love really is the answer as a father that I've really tried to embody, even though I haven't been perfect at times. I still just try to love them up as much as I can, and show them that I care.
Absolutely. That being present with them, I read something the other day that kind of rocked my world. But the quote was, the only people who are going to remember all your late nights at work and your emails at 10 p.m. are your kids, right?
Mm,
No one else is going to give a shit about all that work you did.
yeah,
They're gonna. But and a real quick story, Jake. The very first time you and I ever met, we didn't officially meet, but the first time I remember, like, oh, that's Jake Plummer and Live and in Color. My wife was giving birth to our third child, Mavis, upstairs. I went downstairs to get a drink of water, and I walked through the lobby, and there's Jake with his wife, and the boys were there too. And I'm like, is that Jake Plummer? I'm like, that's Jake Plummer. That's cool. And you kind of gave me a nod, like, oh, yo, like kind of like in it together, and I walked upstairs, and like, hey, Jackie, you'll never know who I saw down in the lobby, Jake Plummer. And she was like, all right, well, you better tell him it's game time, and that she had Mavis in like 29 minutes. So she was
Oh my goodness.
jokes about shit when she was giving birth. So, but that was the first time that you and we'd ever locked eyes, I'd say. So
What a great memory, man. That's wild.
kind of cool stuff, but right on.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. The knowledge from two amazing dads.
Hey, and if I I'm going to share just one quick story about my oldest. When I was at Champ Bailey's retirement party, or retirement at the Broncos facility, I'm standing in the equipment room talking to the equipment guys afterwards, and Roland was only about 4, and he's walking around me, and little kids, let's just be real, little kids like farts. Farts are funny, little kids like to fart. He always liked to come up and fart on me, and so I'm sitting there talking to the equipment guys, and everyone's hanging out, and it's like there's a few players and everybody, and he's walking around me, then he stops, and I feel his little butt go on my leg, and there's this little, and I look down at him, and he just smiles at me, and it's like, that's what kids are about, right? That's embodying what being a kid is about.
yeah.
So, he didn't give a shit that Champ retired, and we were in the equipment room. He just was busting one on Dad and got a good giggle out of it.
Uh, that's awesome. Little kids, not like Wonderment.
Kids.
Roll dog. He's not gonna like that story in the future.
It's all
You're
right.
gonna have to figure it out.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, it's that time again. We're going to do a little Sugar Snake showdown. I've got 3 questions for you. Last week, the questions were sugary in nature, and this week, it's only natural to make these questions a little bit more snaky.
Ooh.
So
Snaky.
let's get into it. The first question will be for Dell this time.
Ooh, I hope it's a bunch of pictures of snakes. What kind of snake is this? Because I love that game. All right.
Yeah, that would be too easy for you.
Okay.
But the 2018 NFL draft saw Jake Plummer announce a Broncos draft pick at the reopening iconic Mexican restaurant Casa Bonita here in Colorado. Which round was it? Was it A, first, B, second, C, third, or D, fourth?
I don't know, and I don't care. The only thing that people need to know about this moment right here is that Jake is going to go in the last moment of his life, reflecting on everything he did and all the opportunities he had. He did not jump off into the water after announcing the second round draft pick for the Broncos. He didn't take that opportunity, and I shame him for it as often as I can. And I cannot believe that you said that this was the question, because I've expressed to Jake that is going to haunt you, not skydiving into Casa Bonita, which is now reopened. But
Thank you, Dale.
he announced the second round draft pick.
Thank you, Dale, for bringing that up.
I know. It's a sore subject for you. When I never got the opportunity, damn it. I never got the opportunity to do the high dive at Casa Bonita.
And here goes, as a father, it's seizing those opportunities to teach your kids that you got to seize the opportunity when there's something in front of you, or you may never see what's over that little hill or that fence or off that cliff. I don't like deep water, and I don't like jumping off cliffs. So there you go. There's my reasoning. What's the answer? I don't even remember.
The answer is
Dale.
the fourth round.
Yeah, good. You're wrong, Dale.
Yeah,
you
don't care.
To be wrong.
I'm wrong about this question, but I'm right about you missing that damn opportunity.
Well, now that it's reopening, because the South Park creators purchased it, maybe Dell and Jake, you guys head over there and you get the opportunity to run that one back. What do you think?
Yeah, we may be able to, because I think I was on South Park as a character at one point. I don't know. I have to look back on that, but I recall someone saying, "Yeah, I saw you on South Park," but I may have just heard that in a dream too. Who knows?
We have to dig that up.
Let's do it.
And we've got to go back to
I'll jump.
I need Jake to jump off that.
We'll check the archives and let's have a little flashback of that moment.
I'm Jake Plummer, former Broncos quarterback. I'm here today with Abdul, Matt, and Connor with the 106th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft. The Denver Broncos select Josie Jewell, linebacker, Iowa. Woo! Being up on that cliff gives you an appreciation for what those guys diving, doing flips and everything. They're pretty brave. For me, I'm all right being on solid ground. But it was a great event. It was a lot of fun.
Casa Bonita.
We're gonna have to run that back. All right.
Did they ask you to jump, Jake? Were they trying to get you to dive in to get that footage?
Can we move to the next question, please?
All right, moving on. This next question for you, Jake. We're talking about a different snake here. The Resurrection of Jake the Snake was a 2015 film that chronicles a different snake, the pro wrestler Jake Roberts' struggle with addiction. Which fellow wrestler aids him on his road to recovery? Was it A, Hulk Hogan, B, Steve Austin, C, Diamond Dallas Page, or D, Jesse Ventura?
I'm going to go with D, Jesse Ventura. Because a lot of people think Jake the Snake Roberts is where I got my nickname, but that's only what Wikipedia has wrong. It was Kenny Stabler, but I did like Jake the Snake Roberts and his DDT. I think he pulled the DDT and he had a snake he'd pull out of his bag when he'd get really upset. But I'm going to go with Jesse Ventura helping him on his road to recovery.
That is not correct. Correct answer is C, Diamond Dallas Page.
Dallas Page.
Diamond Dallas Page snake with his yoga practice. Isn't that right, yeah. Mike? Diamond Dallas Page has I don't know if it's a particular yoga practice, but he's a big yogi. So
yeah, it's yoga for just like everyday people. And there's actually a famous viral video of this guy who couldn't walk, who we'll thread in the clip, but DDP's yoga takes him from needing 2 canes to walk around to being able to sprint. And it's just super impressive that he was able to have that kind of recovery. DDP is a bit of an angel for the folks in pro wrestling because those guys can suffer and struggle a lot. And he's really seems like he's been able to help some of them kind of get past the traumas and the struggles that they go through. So this was the movie poster, worth a watch if anyone's interested in the resurrection of Jake the Snake.
Hands down my favorite wrestler because he'd pull that snake out and lay it on someone when they're knocked out. That was where it was at. Very cool.
I don't know if he ever faced Jimmy Snuka, but that would have been a good matchup between the two of them. All right, Rashad, we got the Final question here for you. Jake Plummer's first collegiate pass at ASU was caught by Carlos Artis for a touchdown of how many yards? Was it A, 78 yards, B, 82 yards, C, 70 yards, or D, 65 yards?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to say it was a bomb. I'm thinking it was a nice bomb. I think it was a nice 82-yard scan. I think it was a nice 82-yard number B. I think it's B.
It was not B. It was
Ah!
A, 78 yards. Let's relive
78
that.
yards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Dang. Listen, this is 2 weeks in a row, okay?
Plummer with the play fake. He's throwing deep for Carlos Artis. And has Artis, and Carlos will have a touchdown. 78 yards.
Underthrown, wobbler. Yeah.
Jake Plummer's
It wasn't
first
pretty, but it was a
collegiate pass,
touchdown.
a 78-yard touchdown.
I mean, pretty good for your first pass.
Pretty
Yeah.
damn good.
Yeah, man. Came into the first game, mop up duty, and rolled to my left and threw a haymaker, underthrew it, and Carlos Artis, a.k.a. Chili Los, came back and made me look good, just like all those other Florida quarterbacks.
Carlos, we're gonna have to send Carlos some stuff for making you look so good on that first pass. That was your first pass. It's ridiculous.
Very first college pass in a live
Beautiful.
game, yeah.
Thank you, Carlos.
Awesome.
You guys want to know what my last pass in the NFL
Yeah,
was?
tell us.
I was rolling to my left against San Francisco, and I threw a haymaker towards the middle of the field to Javon Walker. He got tripped, and it got intercepted. So from college, my first throw was a touchdown. My last throw in the league was an INT. So wrap it up, seal it, put it away.
That's my favorite NFL stat. 161 touchdowns, 161 interceptions, which is dope.
Came out. Yeah.
It's like that
how it
movie
should go.
Signs, where that guy said that he broke the home run record, but he also had the strikeout record because he always swinging for the fences, and he said it just felt wrong not to swing. I love that. Swing
something
for
like
the
that.
fences, throw an interception, do something. That's something you tell your kids, try,
Yeah, you got
fail, do it. Now's the time.
I love at the end of that movie where they're like, swing away. I haven't thought about that movie in years.
But see at the end of the clip there, like that's one thing I did with all of my touchdowns. There's not one that I didn't run down and celebrate with the person that either took it, handed it off to, or caught it. It was like every one of them, every 161 of those touchdowns in the NFL, I was going crazy celebrating because, man, what a feeling it was. The interceptions, it wasn't always so sweet.
You ran down the field for that one too, so you're 100% on running down the field after a touchdown or an interception.
There's no better feeling than scoring a touchdown.
Mhm.
There's no better feeling.
So good. So good.
Well, we're moving on to the community Q&A. Every week we pose a question from our community. Make sure you're following us at GetUmbo on all the social channels, and we're going to ask you for your questions. If we pick your question, then we'll send you free Umbo product. So this week's question from Earthed Weller Life. What things are you excited about now and in the future?
I'll go ahead and handle that one first here. Right now, what I am really excited about is the pursuit of a lot of things, a lot of interesting and fun endeavors. Like one is mushrooms, is cultivating, growing, educating, eating, and sharing more mushrooms for sure. Whether that's through Umbo, through the farm, or even at my place where I live, like mushrooms are something I am super excited about now and in the future too. But for me in the future is just the fact that I get to watch, what we talked about earlier. I get to watch my three little creations grow up and help them through life, whether that's good or the bad. That's really what the future is going to be super fun to also, as I help them to have those learning lessons and all of that, come back to help me grow as an individual, as a man, as a father, addressing anything that I have left over. But I'm super excited about what the future holds to just be a part of my kids' lives, but also to, go out and explore my life, to show them, 48 years old, it's never too late to learn something, and then dive into, mushrooms, and then also, getting into yoga and doing a lot of fun things. So yeah, there's so much to be excited about. It's hard to say just one thing, but, excited about what we're doing and excited about who we're going to influence in the future.
Nice. Um, what excites me, I'm excited about where I am in my life. Figuring out my life now that I'm in this next phase of my life. And for a while, it's probably one of the scariest things, for me to really have a life and not have fighting in it and being a focal point was something that for the longest time it was a weird and hard feeling to get past. But I'm excited where I am at with it. I'm excited to really, you know, start to grow who Rashad Evans is in other forms, in other ways, and you know, and surprise myself because the version that I am right now, if I was to look back in my fight career, I would have never thought that I would be the person that I am today. So I'm excited about that. And also, what makes me excited is, as a psychonaut of where the whole psychedelic game is going. I feel as if like there's been such a huge shift with people trying to explore their consciousness and really starting to use these psychedelic modalities. And for me, I think it's one of those things that you know is something that can help out society. And I say that because all we are truly is the consciousness, but we've gotten to the point now in society where we become so physical, and it's all about the physicality, and it's all about you know physical, but really looking deeper and a deeper introspection of what it means to be is really looking past the physical sense and more looking at the spiritual side. And I feel like there's this huge spiritual shift that's happening, and I think that's quite pretty much dovetail to where we're at with umbo and the modality that we're providing with the mushrooms and the functional mushrooms and things like that, because it shows that people are starting to be more conscious and more aware of how they want to feel, and as we say in umbo, taking control of their health, getting their health back into their own hands again. So that's what I'm excited about, and those are the things that excite me in life.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'll say I'm most excited about serving our AI overlords that are going to be taking over any day now. No, I'm just kidding.
Word.
Sometimes think about how unpredictable the future is. The one thing that always gives me a little bit of peace of mind is if you didn't know what you would return as, a man, a woman, whatever race, whatever disability or whatever, where would you want to land? You would always choose today. You would always choose today because the most advancements are made right now. If you come back with an ailment, polio, you sure as shit don't want to come back in, 1905, right? So today is the best day there is, and it's the only day. And so that's something that you got to think about when you get a little doom and gloom. I get a little doom and gloom, but there's a lot to be excited about. And yeah, I'm gonna echo Rashad's sentiment around psychedelics and more importantly, consciousness and the mentality of people who are starting to own their own cognitive liberties and take responsibility for their lives. That's where we're at, and that's the time that we're starting to see people take responsibility for their lives, whether it's their health or the things around them. And so, while there's some bumps in the road, we're traveling in the right direction, in my opinion. So that's what I would say about the future.
You know what else? You know what else is exciting? What we're doing, what Umbo's doing, is in the future we get to hear and get emails, and I get a lot of responses from people that I turn on to the product, or I send the product to. It's like the future is always so nice to know that like we're going to turn more people on to or enlighten them to a better way to face their health and wellness or their disease or illnesses through functional mushrooms. So the future is really exciting because we don't know who's listening right now that's going to go on there, try our bars, try our capsules, maybe the tinctures, whatever it is, and then get back to us in 3 weeks and say, wow, I'm sleeping better. I'm thinking clearer. I'm feeling better. Anxiety doesn't seem, these stresses don't seem to be getting me down or having the same effect. And that's really exciting. That's really the gift we're carrying right now that we get to share, but we don't get to see that until the future when people come back to us with those results. So that's one more little aspect I got to throw in there.
Speaking of that, Jake, that just tees up this review that we got recently that I just have to share. And this guy said that Umbo is a game changer for me. I lacked energy and never felt like doing anything around the house. Started taking Umbo after hearing Jake Plummer on the Dan Lebatard show and heard he said functional mushrooms changed his life. I'm a recovering alcoholic of 3 years. I've tried to take many different things since I stopped drinking to give me energy or to get back to feeling somewhat normal, and nothing worked. My wife also notices a significant difference in my mood and attitude since I have been taking Umbo. She is also happy that I clean the house now. Thank you for helping me get my life back on track. I think mushrooms are the future, and I will support Umbo for life.
I love that. I
Yes,
Damn,
love that.
that's
that's a
awesome.
beautiful.
There it is. Thank you, Mike, for
Yeah,
throwing
that's
that
a
out.
beautiful review, and not to be a shameless plug or whatnot, but it's whether it's Umbo or other brands, or like, you need mushrooms in your life, eating more mushrooms, whatever
Absolutely.
that might be. But I think it's beautiful to see people like, hey, I'm having issues and I'm trying something, and I tried mushrooms and it worked, or maybe it doesn't work. So maybe you try CBD, maybe you try keto diet, maybe you try. But man, these attempts are really beautiful, and to get word like that from folks that it is working for them. That's why we do what we do, and it's a fun journey, and it's fun doing the Sugar Snakes takes to get a little bit more deep than your typical podcast, and have you guys impart some really great wisdom. Sugar Snake, Mike, thank you guys so much for jumping on and putting together another fun episode, and we'll keep at it. Keep trying to drop some wisdom and learn and listen from you guys as well too. So thank you, everybody. That wraps up this episode. Sugar Snakes takes.
Peace,
Namaste.
love, and mushrooms.
Peace.